key to the door.
Specific reasons.
Do you want to turn that in?
Oh, okay.
Okay, naming names.
You've lost it.
You don't want to keep it as a
All right,
souvenir?
thank you.
Turn that over and over.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Okay, we're live.
think
It
she's
is now
through with
6. It is now 6:30. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Will you please rise if you're able and join me in the pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Andrew Benson. Here. Ruth Groff. Here. Brian Winlosi.
Here.
Joseph Wetmore. Here. Edward Levine.
Here. Item 4 in our packet.
Ed, could I interrupt this meeting for just
Sure.
a moment?
Sure.
For all the years of service that you and Ms. Donlin have provided for the town and for us, we
Okay.
appreciate it. We want to give you a little token of our appreciation for all that you have done.
Well,
Look
thank
at
you
him.
so much.
Thank you.
It's not ticking, that's good. Will, thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's very kind of you. We didn't expect this, but thank you so much. Much appreciated. Don't worry about that, it's okay.
Well, we really appreciate all that you've done for us, for the town. I know everybody in the town does too. You've done a great job. Thank you.
I want to add, it's been a pleasure working with all three of you.
Thank you, Joe. And while we're on the subject, we mentioned to Bronwyn and to Andra that it was nice to have a board of different opinions, because you really, in my opinion, you really grow when you have other people's opinions besides your own that you agree with, because then you can consider other information. Maybe somebody else has a better idea, maybe somebody else has a better suggestion, but at the end of the day, it's the residents of Lansing that are well served. So hopefully we can continue that with our new members. Hopefully you have differences of opinion. Please feel as though you can share them, and I hope they will be received well. Okay?
Thank you.
On that, and as you can tell, I'm not very good at accepting gifts, so I appreciate you.
You did fine. You did
Well,
just fine.
there you go. Now, where were we? Any other things you'd like to say before we?
I want to thank the other board members. It's really been a pleasure to
Yes.
serve with you. And I sort of will miss you.
I understand.
And also the staff.
Yeah. I just echo the same. Thank you both. I trust that things are in good hands moving forward, and I've really enjoyed working with all of you. This board has been a good
Includes
group.
Mrs. Munson.
Yes, all
Well,
of
thank
you.
All the employees. Okay. Having said that, let's move on. Number 4, Bolton Point United Auto Workers Agreement presentation. Judy Drake. Please.
So you do have in your packet, I'm not going to read everything, I'm not going to go over it, I'm more here to answer any questions. For those of you, as a reminder, Bolton Point unionized back in about 2000, and PERB at that point decided that each of the member municipalities also had to approve the union contract after the UAW members and the commission approved the contract. So that's why I'm here, to walk the contract through 5-member municipalities. And hope that you vote yes, because it's a long way to get us there. So I can answer any questions you have, anything you want me to clarify on why we, made that change and improved, where we're at. So.
I didn't have any.
You answered my questions when I was at Bolton Point,
It all looked pretty straightforward to me.
I already voted on this once, so I'm good.
We can go someplace in one of these.
I'll move resolution 4B.
I'll second.
You're a little quick on that, hang on. Okay, so that was Joe and Ruth?
Yes.
Okay.
Unless Judy wants to make a long speech.
Andrew Benson,
Yes.
Ruth Groff,
Yes.
Brian Winlosi,
Yes.
Joseph Wetmore,
Yes.
Edward Levine.
Yes. Thank you, Judy. No, feel free to go at any time. Item 5 in our packet is the draft 2023 audit presentation by Patrick Jordan. It's nice to see you again.
Nice to see all of you, and appreciate you having me on the agenda and at the very top of the agenda. I know that we had a long one. I just want to hand out one thing. When we sent the email out last week, there's one open item that's been filled now. So we'll replace that section called economic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Factors affecting the future.
Thank you.
So it's really the same topic as the prior year. It's one section where we get information directly from you, what you want to say in the management discussion and analysis. So it talks about the property tax differences from 22 to 23. A little bit about sales tax. Effects of changes in the sales tax on some of the funds, and then more about the continuing income that you receive to be spent for the ARPA funds. So a lot like the prior year, three items. We usually like to recommend you keep it to three, five major discussion items that for the users of the statement. So that's complete now. So that finishes up the draft. We did get information the last couple of days that we needed on the administrative side, so we can go ahead and finalize the draft. It's I mentioned this language, no assurance is provided, because it's not all the way through our review system processes, but now it can be. So we would be ready to issue it in final once it's improved. So I didn't want to get in too much detail really with the financial information. It's back to December of 22, so it's, I think you're pretty familiar with that, the financials at that point in time and for the year. And then we haven't really done much with the 2023 financial information for comparison, so not really sure how the funds have made out yet in 23. But I will just, like I said, we sent around the PDFs last Friday. Hopefully you had a chance to look through them, and then I dropped the print copies off Monday. I'll just go through real quickly. I'll start really brief with the executive summary. Pretty much everything that you're used to seeing as far as the page 1 of the executive summary, all of the documents that we issue, starting from the top of the executive summary if you have that. So the first section is the basic financial statements, our opinion, our unmodified opinion, which is a clean opinion, which we want to have on December of 2022. There's additional opinions on the supplementary information, and a letter on, because you follow the government auditing standards, or we follow them because it's a governmental entity. So that's all really part of the main document, the big document that we produce for the main audit report. So again, you have a lot of information there about unmodified opinions, which is all good. That's what you want to have. No material internal control weaknesses or compliance issues that we had to report. So that's basically covers really our opinions, our certifications on the main financials. Then there's some separate documents that you should be used to seeing. They're not new. Communication with those charged with governance. It's required for all audits, all types of audits, for-profit, non-profit, governments. Really about a couple of different things. The qualitative aspect section, so that points you to important financial disclosures in the footnotes and estimates A lot of that is kind of linked regarding things that are really outside your funds. So we audit your fund financial statements, and we'll talk a little bit about those, those results. But we always assist with the bridge from the funds to the government-wide, which brings in the capital assets, the long-term debt, your post-employment benefit obligations, retirement system obligations, capital assets, and all of your bonds that are not part of the fund financial statement. So there's a lot of estimates involved in those items that we assist with for the government-wide. And again, it's really not anything that you report to the state in your annual filing. And so we like to concentrate on what we actually audited from your annual financial statement, your annual update document when we present the financials here. So that's the first section, the qualitative aspect section. And the next part of that letter is any problems that we encounter performing the audit. We didn't list any difficulties encountered, corrected misstatements, disagreements with management. We would have liked to had it wrapped up as well as you would have wanted it wrapped up a little sooner. That's, both sides schedules, aligning and all, and getting the information we needed. We wouldn't, we don't list anything. There's a problem encountered performing the audit. We are ahead of last year's schedule by quite a bit, I think.
Yes, you are. Thank you.
So that the rest of that letter is very positive. There's a management comment letter that talks about, defines internal control matters, significant deficiencies, material weaknesses. We don't have anything pointed out in that letter. There's also a report on the Justice Court. We audit transactions in the Justice Courts, the year-end balances, what's on hand at the end of the year that's designated for various parties, including the town, the state, and that sort of thing. So we didn't have any problems in that area. And I think that really covers all of the documents then that we have. So all good. Results is from the opinion side, the certification side. We do provide a 5-year trend of the fund financial statements. Again, I won't get too deep into the numbers. On the general fund townwide and the highway townwide, we are seeing the fund balance come down over the years. General fund townwide was about 20% of your annual budget. That's about at the minimum, I think, of your fund balance policy. So that's just one. This is page 2 of the executive summary. So like in 2018, you were at about 90% of the annual budget, slipped down to 40, 30, 20, but still, within your policy, it's just on the, on the low side at the end of 22. The general fund townwide did have an excess of expenditures over revenues of $387,000 for the year. So that's on page 3 of the executive summary. So really the past 4 years have been excess of expenditures, bringing that fund balance down to that level. On the general fund outside, it's, the unassigned fund balance is well above 100% of your annual budget. It has been steady at that level over those 5-year period from 18 to 22. You'll see that also on the highway outside village fund also. And then there's the, on page 5 and 6, covers the general fund outside village. And again, the unassigned fund balance there is on the, it's a bit on the low side from our perspective. But there is some, your ability to allocate things differently between the funds, some of the sales tax and that sort of thing. So there are some ways to transfer money from one to another. Water and sewer are strong. Those are, start on 10, 11, 12, 13. Those are all pretty healthy fund balances, more than 1 year's worth of your annual budget on each. And that's been pretty steady over the 5-year analysis there. So I wanted to point out at least the fund balance levels. And then on the very last page, 14, next to the last page, 14 of the executive summary, we show you just the highlights of your fund balances at the end of the year in total were $5.3 million. And then we show you the additions and deletions, bringing in the capital assets, the equity interest in Bolton Point for the additions, and then the deductions, the long-term bonds, the big OPEB, other post-employment benefit obligation of $3.8 million. So that takes you from, your fund balances from positive 5,000 to, $5.3 million to 12.6 million on the government-wide, basically, because the capital assets and the joint venture interest really brings those, the net position up from fund balances. We did change the opening balance for the capital projects funds. You received about 400,000 ARPA in 21 and another 400,000 in ARPA funds in 22. You hadn't spent any of that in 21. We should have deferred that, and called it unearned revenue. And then once you spend it, match up the revenue and expenses. So we did correct that. I do have to just put a little sentence in the footnotes that says that still, that was overlooked.
This is just moving it from one line to another.
It's just moving it from one line, from fund balance or revenue into unearned revenue at this point in time until it's spent. And then we'll match up the revenue and expenses.
From unallocated to allocated.
So that, we'll add the item that I distributed with which we call the future factors there.
Yep.
Make that slight addition in the notes to the financials about the capital fund being basically restated for that item. Otherwise, we're in good shape to proceed and finalize. If you have any questions as you had a chance to review.
Any questions? Okay, I do. Actually, comments. The internal controls have been increased in 2023, and the thing about audits is you're like 9 months, but for lack of a better word, and it's not a derogatory statement, you're 9 months behind where we are.
Right.
Since then, also, the ARPA money has been allocated to certain areas to strengthen certain fund balances, and there is a plan in place with our last budget to redistribute some of the sales tax into those funds. And the other thing is that to mitigate that there won't be any more leakage, i.e. budget mods, is that there is internal controls where we have excellent people with Mary Ellen and also Jen in the supervisor's office. They meet regularly with our highway superintendent and also the director of Park and Rec to go over every month where they are, where their allocations are and everything, so that it doesn't get away from them. It can easily do that, and that's not a criticism towards both of them because they're both excellent. But the fact is you need another set of eyes on this, as we do with you, gives a different perspective of where we are. So John and Mary Ellen are more or less their compass as far as the financials go. So there are ways that they are going to be tweaked so that if there is going to be any budget mods, they can be addressed quickly and mitigated, because that was problematic last year, before the fund balances got to a critical level in the reserves. So these things, and you'll see this next year when you come back and give the report, you'll see, and if everybody follows those guidelines set up, you'll see it start to nudge in the other direction, which is what we want to do. We want to keep it within that window of what our policies are.
Right.
So there we are.
One thing we'll add, there's four pages for each of those funds, two general funds and highway funds, budget to actual schedules in the back, and all those, were favorable variances. Nothing was overspent in the budgets.
I didn't think there were, but we like to make them stronger
Yeah.
while still providing services and moving forward. So thank you so much.
I think that was one of the items last year. We were waiting to get that final report for the budget to actual,
Yep.
and now we're in good shape with that.
Good.
Thank you.
Always good to see you, and
We'll get you a management representation letter to sign then. We'll date everything that date.
so you'll be working with her.
Well, we're gonna send it tomorrow.
Well, then you'll be working with me.
And try to get it all wrapped up.
Perfect.
Our admin's kind of light now, last part of the year, but,
Understand.
okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Always good to see you. Okay, number 6, Public hearing for formation of Drainage District Number 11, East Shore Circle subdivisions.
I'll move that.
I'll second.
That was Andrew and Joe, correct? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Public hearing is open. Anybody want to have comments? Feel free to share them. Questions, concerns? If not, I rely on Joe as our timekeeper to give us the heads up when our minute is up. Is that what it is? It's a minute?
It's a minute, I think you're gonna tell us a story.
No. Oh, about this? So Jesse, things are moving okay?
I think so.
Hopefully they will better in a few minutes.
We'll see.
Okay. And I believe,
No one signed up for that.
okay, thank you. Well, we got both of them here, don't we? 11 and 12.
Yes.
Why not bundle, right? Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Someone like to close the public hearing?
I'll move.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Okay, number 7, public hearing for formation of Drainage District Number 12, Asbury Collins subdivision.
I'll move that.
I'll second.
All right, I have a few pages to pass through here. Let's- Sorry, who did the motion?
I move
My
that.
turn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Anyone from the floor want to have comments, questions, concerns? How's the sewer line going?
We're waiting on our engineer.
You don't have to say anything publicly if you don't want to. I'm just making conversation for a minute. It's okay.
He's gonna put some numbers together for us so we can push it from the village line out to the water line in the town.
But you're making progress.
Yeah, we're making some progress, and then hopefully we'll figure out something nice to do, forget it on the water process.
So that'll be another project. Nice.
Hopefully, the first of May.
Thank you for thinking of investing in our town.
Okay.
It's a great company.
You know, I agree. Okay, minutes up?
I'll move to close the hearing.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
You okay?
I'll move to approve the formation of Drainage District Number 11.
I'll second. She looks at me.
You're fine. You're fine. Just keep the ball rolling. It's okay. Just keep pushing them, just push it down the hill. It's okay.
Andrew Benson?
Yes.
Ruth Groff?
Yes.
Bronwyn Losey?
Yes.
Joseph Wetmore?
Yes.
Edward Levine?
Yes. About 8B.
I'll move Drainage District Number 12.
And I'll second.
Andrew Benson?
Yes.
Ruth Groff?
Yes.
Bronwyn Losey?
Yep.
Joseph Wetmore?
Yes.
Edward Levine?
Yes. Okay. Number 9, privilege of the floor, limited to 20 minutes with a maximum of 3 minutes per speaker. Does anybody want to invoke the privilege of the floor? And you said no one signed up?
No one signed up.
Going once? Going twice? Let's move on. Department reports. Lansing Community Library Report.
That's in the packet,
It's in the packet.
as is the youth services.
Okay, excellent. And we're gonna take Mike Sigler, we're gonna move him down, right? He's coming back?
Yeah, he's coming back.
Yep.
All right, so what we'll do is, I think, if we get going on it, even after the consent agendas and everything else, when he comes back, we'll just make us opening for him, okay? Highway 4, Mr. Mosley. Look forward to another 4 years under your leadership. So far, so good, and there was no flooding the other day?
Not bad, minor.
Okay, good, great news.
You look better tonight. I don't know what it is.
My hat, is it my hat? Is missing?
I'm gonna miss this.
It's the holidays, I thought I'd do something special for you. Good evening, everybody. My packet is before you. One thing I really wanted to say is, I want to say thank you to Tompkins County Soil and Water, Angel, Hinkle, Mike Drula, and John Nagley and Brian Reeser for the help on projects. They are a huge asset to me and my department. Fantastic to work with, and I've learned a lot. If there's no questions, I have a couple things to add to my report.
So far, so good.
Okay, so we received in our CHIPS money. The total on that was $521,019.76. That's CHIPS, EWR, POP, and Pave New York. That's the money spent on improving all the roads in the town, and the money claps back in after we spend it, so fantastic that's coming back in. Number 2, Auburn Road. I had told the board right along that we planned on that going to bid this month. Obviously, we're completely jammed up this month, and trying to be gracious and working with Debbie. I don't want to overload her in January. So it will go to bid in January. We'll open the bids in February and hopefully take care of number 2 Auburn Road after that. I also handed out to everybody sitting up here, plus the 2 new board members that are sitting in the audience, the hot off the presses AIA agreement with the amendment to that from Bergman, from Steve Kushner, who works for Bergman. You also have kind of the overview of Bergman and the relationship with the town, scope of work, design and development, being the title Bergman. The AIA agreement being the second document. The very first page is the amendment to the original document, and that's following along with the suggestions of the Highway Committee, really that Dave and Guy put in a heck of a lot of effort on this to make it the best contract for the town that they could. So it's a lot to digest. The committee thought it best to try to get it to everybody to look at, and we can discuss it into January. So I think that was everything I had.
Thank you for your progress.
Mike, is this for this last part you were just talking about, is that for the new highway building?
Yes,
Okay.
sorry.
That's-
Yes. The guy didn't miss anything on that.
No, I mean, it went through several rounds with the committee and Bergman, and Dave and I went through it at least a couple of times, and overall, we got 75% of what we asked for. They got 25% of what they asked for, and everyone's ready to move forward.
The thing I liked about it was that we had a lot of experience, at least when we were going over from the town, especially from legal and from engineering. And if there was a red flag, it was pointed out if there was. I'm not saying that there was, but all those changes we could live with.
Yeah, any contract where you're gonna build any type of structure, right? There's risks, and you can't mitigate them. But I thought primarily what Dave and I did was try to mitigate them and at least point them out so the town knew where they were and could engage the construction manager on those particular issues to keep an eye on that cost or to keep an eye on that structure. And I think we're in good shape. It's a good contract.
It'll be fun. You're gonna have fun doing this.
Yep.
Okay. Any other comments for Mike?
Well, I've got a quick question. I'm looking at page 2, and it says construction commencement date, summer 2024. I'm confused by that. Construction's gonna start this summer?
It's probably, it's obviously a typo.
Okay.
I think our best guess was late fall, right? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, well, there might be some preparatory groundwork.
borings,
You
right?
know,
Soil.
grading, clearing,
Yeah.
grubbing, soil stuff.
Yeah.
Actual,
Still.
actual contractor bidding, being on site and starting erection of the building probably would be later. But it's quite possible that you could be starting some work in the summer, especially the site work.
Okay, because I thought this was design, detailed design, and I would assume it would take them a while to do that. Are they gonna have that done?
Anywhere, best guess, about 4 months, maybe a little more, and it's gonna depend on the construction manager as well.
Okay.
So a lot of the prep work is being done by the town, so it won't have to await bidding.
And I see construction manager is to be determined, access to adult security be determined, one of those being determined.
When the town makes a final decision on the one of 2 construction managers that are under consideration, and I sort of think that decision has largely been made by the committee.
Right, I mean, I honestly didn't want to bring it up tonight. I would like to sit down with Guy and, as the committee had asked, and pen something, so then the board will be aware,
These are all things that we can pen into this contract.
Mhm.
Bergman doesn't care who we plug in there.
Yeah, correct. It's not their call who's plugged in there.
Okay. Thank you.
And the security stuff is because it would be unique to the town. You bring in your own IT, your own security team, and again, I don't know who that would be, but site security and stuff like that, we'd have to attend to, probably by fall, once there's contractors on site, materials on site.
Okay.
So the highway meeting's been canceled next week.
Correct.
Okay, so you may want to pick a second to start staying on those meetings, the highway meetings on that. Bruce, I mean, you'll take the lead on that.
I'm sorry, what?
You'll take the lead on that.
Yeah.
And somebody else, one of the other board members should probably sit on that to
Yep.
come up with this meeting. If they haven't had these, they could probably have them, right? This is a public document now, right? So they can.
They have them.
They
I'm
have
sure
them.
they had them.
All right, good, all right.
Thank you.
Yep. One last thing, it's been a pleasure.
Ditto.
And Andra and Bronwyn, thank you. A little bit of a difference for me in how I got to where I am and the guidance and support, to everybody here, but you guys won't be here, so I truly appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. Pat, we have his report. Pat sent the email, he's unavailable tonight. So we'll move on to Park and Rec. John?
He's up.
Did I say Park and Rec? I did. No, I'm sorry. No, maybe. My mistake. So, Director of Planning Report, John.
You have my report on file, and I don't have much to add to that, other than that we have extended an offer to fill the planner position, and that has been verbally accepted, so early in January, we should have new staff are coming on board, right? And we'll be spending our time getting them up to speed, and we will have an opportunity to meet them.
Good.
Also, we'll be developing our 2024 work plan, which I'll hopefully have ready for you in January to take a look at. And just want to say it's been really good working with you folks. Gonna miss working with you. Really appreciate the faith and confidence you have in me and giving me the opportunity to step up in my role as the partner. Thank you very much. I look forward to continuing on with the rest of you and working with the
the resolution that you can hire a person already, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that, we don't need another resolution to hire somebody, you already have that in your budget up to X amount of dollars and everything else, right? Good.
Sure. And it's interesting how you and I have come full circle.
Yes. Yes, in a very positive way, yeah.
John, I want to quickly, John, we had one issue with the planning board that, I don't know if you want me to do it now or during my report, not being able to get the, training scheduled for this year and
Yes.
pushing out for next year. You want to talk about that now, or?
Sure, if you'd like to discuss that at the town board level. So, the planning board, zoning board, and probably the conservation advisory committee are required to do 2 extra hours of training a year in dealing with difficult people and meetings. I was unable to find a training and get it scheduled. So, that shouldn't be held against this board members, that falls on me. But I will try to get something done immediately in January. You know, just to, I'd like to get all of their training done in January, to be honest with you. Or ask the board to consider removing that requirement. Honestly, it's already difficult enough for folks to have to get their 4 hours of required training a year, plus their core patch trainings. And it's a burden on staff as well, because you're asking us to find those and coordinate them, staff them. I'm not sure, it's up to you to decide, but, you know, is it really, are you getting the bang for your buck on that?
Well, let me ask Guy, we made this training mandatory. They haven't been able to do it, not because of the board members' fault. Do we have to do a vote at the board level to accept that it's not happening this year, or what's the proper procedure for that?
But I'd want to look at the exact language of the policy. But if you wanted to issue a blanket waiver while you reconsider the policy or found a trainer, it's a unique subject matter, and it's not like zoning, planning, you know, Department of State and New York Planning Federation. They have people for all the, for lack of a better term, more generic stuff. But third-party intervention, crisis management, peacekeeping training is not something that you commonly run into. I know some places that do that kind of training, not so much in Ithaca, but CDRC might be a start. They usually have people that are certified in crisis intervention mediation. Resolve in Syracuse is another one, but I know have some resources, and there's an entire actually undergrad program in the Maxwell School in that field. So I might be able to help. I'll give you a call tomorrow or next week or something and
That'd be great.
see if we can find something.
Yeah.
Could we do that waiver in January, or do we have to do it now?
Is it required to be done annually, like by, well, then I would do it now.
Okay.
Just to play it safe, because if it's interpreted as qualification for office, you don't want to not have a planning board, because then you are the planning board, and you're not permitted not to
Wait.
have a ZBA.
That language is in there, by the way.
Isn't the town board also required to take it, so we have just nothing?
No.
Oh, okay.
Could you scribble a quick resolution?
Sure.
Do we want a piece of paper?
I know if I wrote it, you'd just rewrite it anyway.
Now we get this, so.
Well, you guys keep going, and I'll make sure I get the actual terminology. I'll go yap with John for a quick second, make sure I understand exactly what the training is described as.
I just want to cross all our T's, dot all our I's, and make sure everything's done properly.
Could we just,
Yeah, you won't have another opportunity before New Year's, most likely.
I hope not.
when he finishes this, couldn't we just add it to the consent agenda?
However, the easiest for you.
That would be way easier.
Okay, then let's do it that way.
Let's move on. Clerk's report? Town clerk?
Town clerk, that would be me.
Over to you.
I've submitted my report, and so if anyone has any questions, I'm available. But I, like several others, would like to thank Ed, Andra, and Bronwyn. I've enjoyed working with you. been here for, didn't I say Ed? Oh, I thought I did say Ed, sorry. Sorry, Ed. I couldn't forget you.
No matter how
I was
you
gonna say, no
try.
matter how hard you try.
It's, Ed and Andrew have been here the whole time I've been here and helped me out through my learning process. And Bronwyn, I've known you for many, many years also, so it's been great. I also look forward to the new board coming in, so thank you all. And if you have any questions, we have received the tax bills. We can't give them out yet, I don't have my warrant, but we're busy getting them in envelopes. They'll be available to look at on the web tomorrow if anybody wants to see how much they're gonna owe.
When you say you haven't gotten the warrant yet, how does that happen?
It comes from the county.
Okay,
It has to be signed by someone at the county,
okay.
hoping to get it tomorrow. But I'm not allowed to, that's what tells me I'm allowed to collect money.
Okay,
And I can't give out tax bills until I have it, because I'm not allowed to collect money, so. To kind of put the cart before the horse here, you know, can't be doing that, so.
I understand, you gotta do it in the proper order.
Right.
Order of operation.
Yeah,
So
so we're busy.
As we all know, especially this is for the ears of our newly, to be soon sworn in board members, January is an extremely busy month for the clerks because it's nicknamed Harvest Month, where money comes in. Some in February, but a lot of it comes in January. So if we could avoid emergency meetings, amongst others, and minimize the amount of paperwork, because you also have organization stuff to do, amongst others, and you're gonna try to do it all in one meeting. Sometimes in the past we've had two, but we did away with that, so now it's one. That's just a FYI for people.
Well, let me ask Debbie a question on that, because we're gonna be bringing in a new board member.
Mhm.
And if we bring that new board member in, say, the first week of January, we can then send them to the training sessions. But if we wait till our board meeting, the training sessions are over.
Why can't you,
Can we send people who have not been appointed to a training session?
I guess it's a question for Guy. I thought what you could do is, at the normal January meeting, the first item on the agenda could be a resolution stating who the new member will be.
But then the New York State trainings have all been completed. They could not go to that.
Well, do people attend that training that are not on a board somewhere? Do other people attend? Because at our town clerks conferences are mostly town clerks, but other people are allowed to go to it, so I don't know why the new person wouldn't be able to
Okay.
attend that.
Do you recall what happened when you got appointed? Sandra? Remember? I know it was a few years ago.
It was a few years ago.
Yeah, it was like 12 years ago when we both got on board.
Let me check into that, because I think those trainings are very valuable,
Yeah.
but I don't want to put more burden on your office.
Do you know if people can attend the January trainings if they're not on the board?
Association of Towns?
Yeah.
I think they can.
Isn't that in February, the association?
No,
Oh, that's the other-
annual meeting, this is the special.
Oh,
training.
you're talking the
Newly elected.
regional training in Rochester for
Yeah.
newly elected
Yeah.
town officials.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
No, I think if you're newly elected,
But what if
But-
you haven't been appointed yet?
Their fifth person won't be elected or appointed yet unless they have a meeting.
if for some reason that hasn't happened, I would simply call the Association of Towns and get them to say yes. I'm sure they will.
Okay.
I'll call
I
if you
mean,
want.
why
I'll
would, I
call
mean,
and
it's
check on it.
NICOM and I think it's a joint NICOM and Association of Towns program.
Yeah,
But I'm sure that under the circumstances, that would be fine, but I talked to someone from the Association of Towns or NICOM like at least once a week, if you want me to ask, just put it on my,
I'll take care of it.
okay.
I'll check on it.
I just want to give everybody that training, because I found that training amazingly helpful as a new board member.
Oh, absolutely.
I would assume that decision would be made before January 1st, because if you make it after January 1st, you're going to have to have another meeting.
Well, we can't appoint anybody until after January 1st.
This is a little problematic, isn't it?
Yeah, the office has to be vacant before you can
Yeah.
fill it.
That's right. then we don't know who is gonna go there unless they know, but that's not my call. Okay, let's move on.
Well, I thought you could do it at the very beginning, like I said, and we could swear the person in right then, right, just, you know,
Right.
take a few minutes during the meeting to swear them in.
So that
A
covers-
5-minute meeting, yeah.
And have it done and just move on, and they could vote and so on.
That covers everything but the training question.
Right, that's how, what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I
We'll
didn't,
find out the training question. 'cause
okay,
that's
I didn't
important.
think about the training, sorry.
And did you want to put Ruth on the bulletin point so she could be a member as of January 1st?
Well,
We were discussing this, I'm just asking.
I don't put anybody on.
Well, this board can, but
Right, so you're asking if the board can put her on.
I'm asking if you want to do that.
I don't know what your question is.
You'll be dropping off the board as of this meeting and putting Ruth on that board as of this meeting. So at the January meeting, she would be a commissioner.
Let me think of the process.
I really complicated.
Well, all right, so they meet the first Thursday of the month, after the first Tuesday of the month, usually, unless there's some extraordinary conflict. And I don't know if I would still, I mean, you obviously can go to the meeting. But I have no intention, I've said that before, of staying on. So there creates a vacancy. So who would appoint, who's the governing body to put them on the board? Is it the town board?
It's us, yeah. Well, you could be a commissioner for that meeting.
Well, I could. Oh, they've also had past supervisors and mayors be consultants on there. I'm thinking of the timing. You know, is it critical? I mean, when you get a quorum, hopefully you will get a quorum. It's up to the board when they appoint you. I'm not the one who's going to appoint her. It's going to be, or pass, it's going to be whatever the board's here. I don't know, maybe you have to do a brief emergency meeting. You can clean this up and do 4 or 5 laundry lists and bang, 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 be done in half an hour, go by.
Half an hour?
I don't know. I'm just brainstorming, trying to get the best way to mitigate this because there is this transition.
Sounds like they're kind of piling up, yeah.
Well, they are, and, you know, you can make adjustments for one, and I'm sure there'll be others during the transition. Like I said, when I first got on the board as supervisor, we had, and I'm not suggesting this before I say anything else, we had 2 meetings. One was the organizational meeting right off the bat, and then one was the regular meeting on the 3rd Wednesday. What I am perhaps suggesting is a brief, with a capital B, brief, meeting where here it is, nothing else discussed, you know, motion, second, bang, 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 get them out of the way, almost like a consent agenda, and you get that laundry list done. And that might be the best way to do it, quite frankly, as much as it's going to put more work on you, but there's just too much on the list between the new appointee for the board for 1 year, also for you being on vote point, amongst others, and other appointments out there that need to, or can they wait for the organizational meeting?
None that have bubbled up to the top that I know of yet. We've been looking at all these boards and commissions and trying to make sure they're all filled with people.
Well, once again, maybe you use this as a place setter to at least, maybe when you can do this, think about it now, you know. Like I said, I'm very sensitive to how much work is done for emergency meeting, but it may be a necessary thing to do. If you have, and like I said, also start thinking of other things that have to be done only at this meeting, and it cannot wait until the regular meeting to do, because you want it to be as brief as possible. Maybe it's necessary to get Ruth appointed, and that 4th or the 5th member of the board be appointed. Maybe that's the best way to make it clean.
So does it have to be the supervisor that's the commissioner? Or?
I always thought it was either the mayor or the supervisor, but I was reading through it, and I don't think so. Just like you don't have to have 2 board members there. For years it was, Tom Jones was on there. So it doesn't have to be 2 board members, I think it just has to be representative, but that's something that you may want to look into and see. I call Judy Drake. She's an excellent source for that. You can do it maybe the next week or so
Okay.
and see where it goes. I'm sorry, you know, about the emergency meeting, maybe it's necessary. As long as you can try to keep it as brief as possible. We have had brief meetings before where it's like, okay, this is the only agenda item, we vote on it and you're done in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Sorry,
That's all
working
right.
on something else at the same time.
No. So,
Well, you need to decide when you're planning to have that meeting, because it has to be sent to the paper.
I understand. We're trying to avoid that meeting if we can.
I'd appreciate that.
I know you will.
We'll try to.
well, and the other thing is that maybe that if no one's appointed, maybe that, like we do with other committees, that person who's expired will still be there in January.
That would be
And
good.
if that, you know, I can do another month.
Okay,
All right.
If it takes, if it avoids a meeting, I would do that.
okay.
Anything else for the clerk's report? We got a lot of stuff done.
That was all on the clerk's report? Wow.
Before we get to the consent agenda, I'd like to circle back to Mike. You're up, Mike, if you want to give a meeting, give a report.
So, hello, thanks for having me, and thanks for fitting me in here. Happy holidays. I mean, I have to start with that, right? I do want to thank Dominic Recchio. He does the county reports, and I draw very liberally from those. I want to start by thanking Ed Levine. Your last meeting, what are you going to do with your time? But,
It's filling up quickly.
But Ed, I mean, you've literally served this town for years. I've never doubted that what you do, you have always done in the best interest of the town, or what you think the direction of the town should be. And I've always appreciated that. And I've always appreciated too that I can call you pretty much any time. And I'll tell you what the county's doing, and if you don't like it, obviously, I always take that advice very seriously. So, just again, really, thank you. I mean, a lot of service. Town board, you know, the church here, town supervisor, just years and years spent. So thanks for being a Bobcat, basically. Andrew Benson and Bronwyn as well, thank you for all your service. I mean, just tremendous. I don't think people really appreciate how much kind of effort goes into coming to a board meeting. It's not just a board meeting, it's like every day, and there's always something. And I just want you to know that I do appreciate it. I mean, even though I'm the county legislator, I'm your constituent, and I always looked at it that way, because there's town issues and there's county issues, but the town issues, you represent me as well, and you represent my family, and I think you've all have represented them rather well, so I do appreciate that, and thank you for keeping the door open and listening to people, so thanks so much. Let's see, where now? From the county, we are moving ahead with our Rapid Medical Response Unit. This is a pretty exciting project. We, you know, obviously our response times have been not great in a lot of parts of the county, Lansing being one of them. Lansing, we are going to move ahead. There was some like, oh, we're going to debate and try to get the towns to pay, and we're still going to try to do that. We just passed an MOU at our last meeting to kind of approach the towns and see if there is some kind of cost sharing that we can do. But for this first year, I mean, it's a 2-year pilot. I just wanted to get this off the ground. So, you know, that's kind of where I was the whole time. You guys had already done your budget, and we just needed to get it moving. And once you get something moving, I think then you have some momentum. And now the county administrator will come and she'll meet with you all and see if we can work out some kind of cost sharing. Under one of the scenarios I think that you've been approached about, Lansing would pay about $58,000. It's basically based on population. I mean, we have the most people, and I think we'll get probably some of the best service out of it. Not the best service, because there's going to be 3 separate units. Well, one of our units is going to be right over by the sheriff's office. So I think our response times will go down quite a bit, and I definitely think this is going to save lives. I think when we talk about tax money, this is one of those things that you can say and point to people and say, you know, if you're wondering where your tax money's going, this is where it's going. You know, so that's something I'm pretty proud about that has come through this year. The Ithaca-Tompkins County Transportation Council, There's no doubt we've had a lot of trouble with TCAT. We are going to try to work that out this year. It's just a difficult situation. We're lacking drivers, we're lacking maintenance, and buses are expensive. We are going to be updating our long-range transportation plan for Tompkins County. The plan does cover a 20-year period through 2045. It's amazing how fast 20 years goes, though, when you plan these things. The purpose and primary objective of the transportation plan is to develop a common vision for the future of transportation in Tompkins County. We are looking for as much kind of advice on this as possible. You can check out the updates and everything at www.tompkinscountiny.gov, and then it's like a backslash, and it's all in this report, so you can look at it there, but it's backslash ITCTC backslash LRTP update dot, and that should take you right there. And we're going to be accepting comments, and you can email us with those comments as well. So please, if this is important. Transportation around the county is something that's something we always hear from people. It's hard to live in Lansing and not have a car, and so we do want to hear from Lansing in particular. One of the nearly 20 initiatives agreed to in the 2021 Reimagining Public Safety resolutions. It was a new requirement that we give out information. That has now been put in place. The sheriff was pretty much already prepared to do this. It was just a matter of what information we were going to release, and he was prepared to do it, and he had to coordinate with the DA on what information was going to be released. But that is now going into place. It directs the Community Justice Center to make data available on a dashboard encompassing information from the District Attorney's Office, the Office of the Assigned Counsel, and the Department of Probation and Community Justice. That information, it's going to highlight aspects of the criminal justice system ranging from once an arrest is made through case outcomes. It is paralleled by the recent dashboard published by the District Attorney's Office. And lastly, and this is kind of exciting news, on January 16th, our Lansing Women's Bobcat volleyball team. It is going to be Lansing Women's Volleyball Day in Tompkins County. So that'll be January 16th. We're going to do a proclamation at the meeting on the 16th, making that the day. Hopefully I get as much of the team. We would have done it earlier, but the team was not available. So hopefully the team can make it to this. And it was just a good day to be a Bobcat. That was a tremendous, another state champion. So I'm interested to see how we fit more people on the sign. And maybe Doug Dake will win too. We'll have to change the sign again. So we'll see. Not Doug, Kyle Dake, sorry.
There you go.
And that's it. That's it, my whole report. So again, happy holidays. And if you have any questions, please shoot. Yes, Rich.
I do. I have, back to the rapid response.
Yes.
You threw out the number 58,000, and I know
Yes.
this is not in stone, but.
No, it's not at all in stone, in fact.
But is that just sort of an estimate per year?
Yes,
Or-
so there's like 6 estimates, to be honest with you. There's that one, that was a breakdown, basically. They're gonna exclude the city of Ithaca because they have bangs down there. So the feeling was we need to exclude them out, because they're already paying in their city taxes for ambulance service. But, so then if you go into the towns that don't have ambulance service, it was like $3 per person, and if you had some ambulance service like Dryden, it was like $1 per person. That was one scenario, but there's literally 6 scenarios. And I will not be the one negotiating this. It'll be the county administrator or whoever she appoints, and one of you. And yeah, I mean, I would say do what you think is best for the town. I mean, I think 58 is very reasonable, but I think 30,000 is very reasonable as well. Or you may say, you know what, no, this should be a county expense, this shouldn't be a town expense. I just think it's a really good idea. It's desperately needed, to be frank. I mean, the one thing that we get, that if you see even the call numbers, they have grown tremendously. I mean, health, just people with health issues has grown. And so there's really no kind of, this is it. This is the time to do this.
Right, I agree.
So.
Yeah.
It says 14-minute response time to the town of Lansing and 7
Well, and it's shocking, frankly. If you can get to somebody just 5 minutes, a stroke victim, for an example, that like those 5 minutes are critical. heart attack, those 5 minutes. They're not even just life and death, they're life or life with a lasting disability. So, yeah, the faster we can get to something, the better. And this should do that.
It is a sign of the times because they no longer have volunteers. For a variety of different reasons, which I'm not gonna go into tonight because of time, but that was part of like the volunteer fire company. And because of all the training and everything else, so now we had a void, now you have to fill it. You have to fill it with a paid person, or persons. In this case, it is what it is.
Well, and I would like to touch on one thing as to why too, is if you see a lot of your volunteers for things like that, those are actually a lot of your peace officers too and your police officers, because they're doing the same shift work and it's kind of like the same, so I see a lot of the same people. And a lot of those, we have a shortage of, you know, even sheriff's deputies now. Not a shortage, we're still filling those jobs pretty well, but like the Ithaca Police Department is so short of people. So yeah, you're gonna have a shortage because some of them don't actually live in the city, and you're gonna have a shortage of them in the villages and the towns and who do the volunteer firefighting as well. So it's, yeah, that cut and shift work is really, it's interesting to watch how we really don't have the volunteers. But you know what, it goes across everything, Rotary, everything that I'm a part of. There's a shortage of people.
True.
So get involved, everyone. That's my big
Any other
advice.
questions for Mike before he wraps it up? You're all good, thank you.
All right.
Thank you for another year.
Bring on 2024.
There you go. Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
So the consent agenda, we have 14, oh no, we have 15.
Right. Would you like me to read this one that Guy just wrote to us? And for us, and I was thinking I would make that A and move everything else down one. It'd be easiest for me to just
Well,
put
you
it right
read
at
as
the top.
many as you want.
I'm not gonna read, I'm just reading this.
Otherwise,
Do you want me to read it?
there's
Oh, sure.
Can you read my writing?
I can read most of it, but it's
Okay.
probably best coming from you.
I don't know. So basically, it would be a motion pursuant to Town Code Section 7-5D to grant a waiver for community engagement training as required by Code Section 7.5B and 7-5C2 for all town officers and staff mandated to receive such training for calendar year 2023.
Does that sound okay?
That sounds fine.
Yep.
Okay.
Right, and I think the staff is ZBA and planning board members and alternates, but rather than that, just whoever was required to get it, doesn't have to get it for 2023, and we'll look at 2024.
Okay.
I have one quick question on the item that got added into the consent agenda this afternoon.
Which was what?
The carrying forward of vacation time.
Okay.
The list that I received by email only talked about the 3 employees and not the employee report. And I was wondering how many hours we're talking about for that employee. Because I had numbers for everybody else.
So if we're gonna discuss this, can we pull that off the consent agenda and do the consent agenda?
Can't we just discuss it and then leave it where it is?
All right,
Please.
so it's kind of like a consent agenda issue.
Well, it's just clarification.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not,
It
we're
got
not.
added at the end of, or, this
Okay.
afternoon, so I didn't have time to realize there was something that changed.
It's okay, Joe.
Yeah.
I got that just this afternoon,
I
so,
understand.
yeah.
Go ahead. It's because of one work person
Yep.
that lose time, and she's only one person. So
Mhm.
she is trying to use her time, but she will have some hours to carry over. I don't know what she's using right now, so they don't have the form in front of me.
Approximate's fine, I just want to have an idea of what it is.
Yeah, we could do worst case, like if she hadn't used it since
Yep.
December. And it would be, I do believe she is trying to use some time.
I believe she's gonna actually, be out all next week, I think,
Yeah.
Mary Ellen, if that helps any.
But regardless, so she has 86 hours right now, that's of December 10th. So if she used any since then, it would gonna be out all next week, there was 40. So you're probably talking a couple hours.
Okay, thank you.
Something for you to consider in the future is that we're in the limbo stage with, as court ramps up, and is it one person that'll be for John Howell for you to talk to, and also, or more, other to find out if a second person again is needed or not? Well, that's for future discussion. And for right now, we're very fortunate Melody is willing to do this and absorbs a lot of the, as opposed to a full-time person with full-time benefits, which, as you know, is 50% of their salary through St. Louis, 67% of their family, on top of their salary. So just keep that in mind. All right, we done?
Yes.
So we're gonna leave it in the consent agenda.
Mm-hmm.
Brown, you wanna do the next four, A, B, C, and D,
Sure.
please?
A motion authorizing Town of Lansing supervisor to sign agreement between the Town of Lansing and Food Net Meals on Wheels. B, motion approving carrying forward vacation time exceeding 40 hours. C, motion approving full-time information aide. And D, resolution authorizing supervisor to sign agreement for new accounting software.
Andrea, can you do E, F, G, and H, please?
E, resolution approving dog control and shelter agreement with Country Acres Pet Services. F, resolution appointing receiver of taxes and deputy receiver of taxes for 2024 and 2025. G, resolution approving 2024 council engagement letter with Guy K. Crow and his firm Thaler & Thaler, P.C. H, resolution approving the 2023 amendment to the municipal cooperative agreement for the Greater Tompkins County Municipal Health Insurance Consortium.
Thank you. Okay, Ruth, can you do I, J, K, and L?
I, resolution approving hiring highway automotive mechanic assistant. J, resolution declaring highway equipment as excess property and authorizing disposal or sale. K, resolution declaring mowers and RTV excess property and authorizing disposal or sale. L, resolution reappointing member to the Lansing Housing Authority.
Okay, Joe, that leaves M and N, please.
Okay, M, resolution amending resolution 23-84 to correct budget line utilized to pay for truck for planning and code office. I want to make sure that Bronwyn didn't do the real A, which is the,
Right.
the
This one.
resolution allowing for skipping the training for this year. And so I want to make sure that's read aloud, but that's first.
That's correct. Thank you, Joe.
Yeah, and then I move the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Mrs. Munson?
Andrew Benson,
Yes.
Ruth Groff,
Yes.
Bronwyn Losi,
Yes.
Joseph Wetmore,
Yes.
Edward Levine.
Yes. Okay, onward and upward, here we go. Item 12, motions, resolutions, resolution approving the Town of Lansing Conservation Advisory Council 2023 annual report.
I would like the minutes to note that my wife's on the Conservation Advisory Council, and the ethics board told me that that's not a conflict as long as I mention it at the meeting.
Okay, so noted.
So I'll move it.
Okay, can you hang on just one second? I just want to get this note down.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry. Okay, Ruth, you moved it?
I'll second it.
Okay. Andrew Benson,
Yes.
Ruth Groff,
Yes.
Bronwyn Losi,
Yes.
Joseph Wetmore,
Yes.
Edward Levine.
Yes. Okay. 12B, resolution approving audits and budget modifications and supervisory report.
I'll move that.
I'll second it.
Andrew Benson,
Yes.
Ruth Groff,
Yes.
Bronwyn Losi,
Yes.
Joseph Wetmore,
Yes.
Edward Levine.
Yes. Board member reports. 13. Andra, you want to lead off?
Sure. The two reports that are for the Lansing Youth Services and the library. are in the packet.
Okay. Anything else?
Nope.
Excellent. We have Ruth second. Ruth?
Yeah, mine are not in the packet, so I will review them. Conservation Advisory Council, they, at the last meeting, reviewed the comments received from the Ag Committee and the Planning Board presentations that they did. They are taking into consideration some of the comments and asking Bergman to make some adjustments to the wording and the description for the open space conservation plan. The Parks, Recreation, and Trails Committee is still moving forward with weekly meetings. And I think, as I mentioned before, we're concentrating on the trails just in the town center area, from the school up to the town center. I did attend my first TCOG, the Tompkins County Council of Governments. Everything Joe reported on that, but I did want to let you know I attended. The Ithaca-Tompkins County Transportation Council was a joint meeting yesterday. It was mostly administrative in nature, and they appointed the new officers for the coming year. They let us know that their new regulations for greenhouse gas performance will be implemented in 2024. I don't know what those are, but they are doing that. The county is now asking for possible site locations for EV charging stations in order to fulfill requirements for the countywide program. I think you can probably expand on that. And Mike Lane also announced that the FAA is asking for a fire station near the airport. So I didn't know if anybody else had heard anything about that. And then the most exciting piece on the agenda was that there will be a full solar eclipse on Monday, April 8th, 2024, with the path of totality extending over the northern third of Cayuga Lake, Geneva, Auburn, Seneca Falls, and Syracuse. And the reason they mention it is they're expecting municipalities to see a huge increase in traffic. So that's my report. Assuming it's not raining that day.
All over the United States in that line, they're already booked.
Okay.
Well, we're in practically the prime spot for it.
Yep.
Right, but even in
Not quite.
Alaska, there's places that are obscure that are just completely booked already for that event.
Yep.
Hotels.
Joe?
My report's in the packet, if anyone has any questions.
Okay. A couple things.
Brian, did you get a report?
Couple things before I go. We'll bring in Bronwyn. Thanks for keeping me on schedule.
You're ready to retire.
You're behind schedule.
Better buckle up. Sorry, Bronwyn. It wasn't intentional.
Well, I don't really have anything to report, but I wanted to, I kind of quickly glossed over earlier, but I really want to be sure to thank the staff. I've really enjoyed working with you all, the three of you here, sort of as representatives for everyone, and I've learned a ton from everybody, and I really appreciate how hard you work and how thoughtfully you work for the town. So I'll miss you guys.
You can visit.
But I don't have a key anymore.
You can still visit.
Excellent. Anything else?
Nope.
Okay. Couple things. I alluded earlier in one of our meetings about there is a new program out for nonprofit municipalities as far as rebates go for solar. And I'll send you the information, Ruth, on this. And actually, the church I belong to is trying to implement that now. And it's a 30% rebate, and because you're in a coal-impacted area, you get 10% more, so it's 40%. The rebate will take about 2 years to do. So just keep that in mind as we go through it. I'll share as much information as possible as we keep moving forward on this. And I'll send you the links and everything, okay? And you guys can pursue that. I know Joe and I looked at solar panels on the roof way back. It was like 75,000 or whatever way back when. It was too cost prohibitive. This one looks like a little bit less, especially if there's a 40% rebate on that. Now that's going to come 18 to 24 months later, so keep that in mind as it looks like the money has to be fronted, okay? But let you sit down with people and get bids and blah, 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 and all that other stuff, and you guys can do that when you're not doing all the other stuff you guys are doing, right? Okay. So when I ran for office way back when, I said there's 3 things that I love the most. One is God, 2 is my family, especially my wonderful wife, and 3 is the people of Lansing. That hasn't changed a bit. If anything, it's just become stronger. Mikey and I were sitting down at the annual lunch, and we talked about the people that weren't here, that were here 8 years ago as supervisor. And most of them weren't in this building. I think Debbie came on board 8 years ago.
9,
9.
but not counting.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. You had the special election, that's right. But the rest of those offices were all different, or in a different capacity, except for the judges. I think there was, how many, 6 or 8 out of the highway department, out of the 16 you have up there now? Yeah. So anyways, my philosophy has always been try to make it better than you found it. And that's not a criticism about how I found it, but try to do it better, not worse. And overall, the only real disappointment I've had is probably Consolidated Water District number 3. That one didn't go through because the pandemic came through and blew the cost right out. And, all those people were without potable water. And that was a 6-year adventure, trying to get that one through. And that was a disappointment. But the rest of it, I sincerely think that the town is in good shape financially and also with the people they have. Because one of the things I try to look for is chemistry, amongst other things, besides competence. And I think we have, just like I think this board had good chemistry. You may not agree with everything, but that's okay. You don't have to agree with everything, but that's how you get stimulate conversation and you get the thought process going and you grow, unless you get your views challenged. I think Mikey is excellent at the helm right now. We got John at the helm. We got Pat at the helm, and the list goes on, right? And Debbie, of course. And of course with the clerk's office and also with the court's office. I mean, they're all, I think, all-stars. So my advice, if there is any, to the board members come in, is see how you can help them. And as I always said, let the thoroughbreds run the race. They know how to run it. If they need help, find it somehow. And we've done that before multiple times, especially with Mikey. He's like, what do you need and how are we going to get there and how are we going to have the less impact? Defend your position. And if you can convince me, I'll be your advocate. And I think so far overall it's worked out pretty good. So anyways, Mary Ellen, you have a great combo. I mean, you're all-stars, so the rest of you. So I look forward to the positive impacts that continue to happen. John and the rest of you, okay? On that, that's all I have. Work session, you want to go right to executive session? All right, there's 2 things we need to talk about, and I believe they deal with contracts. And I don't know if we can bundle them together, however you want to do it. Is that the right wording, we think? Okay, with the contracts. And there's 2 different contracts. I think we can use them under the same umbrella, if that's okay. I also would like the future board member to stay for this, please. I think we had another one, but maybe she left, okay? But you're welcome for executive session also, just because this is information that I think might be critical to help me get a jump on it, okay? So I would like to move to go in executive session, unless you want to take a 5-minute break first. You okay? All right. Did she go maybe to the back, outside for a minute?
No, it looked like she had her coat with her, but
Okay.
I don't know.
I think so.
All right. Okay. In that case, I'd like to move to go into executive session to talk about 2 different contracts. And I'd like to move that.
Well, and just to be clear, they're contracts involving the sale of lease or real property where disclosure of the terms might affect the value or price.
Well, these are, yes.
Right. Thank you.
Trying to
Right, I
finish.
said it, or lease, it's an
Thank you.
interest in
Thank you.
property.
Thank
Yep.
you. I was filtering out the word I was looking for, yes.
Yeah, no, all good.
About property, or are we talking
No.
about another contract?
Well, one's property and one has to do
Personnel.
with personnel.
Well, that's a separate issue
Well,
then.
that's not a
So we can do them separately, we can go into executive session for the one contract.
No, you can go into executive session for 2 reasons.
Okay, well then we'll just
So
bundle
the
them
other
together.
one is to discuss the pay, performance, appointment, promotion of a particular individual.
Or group of individuals?
Yes.
2
or
different
group
issues
of
on that.
individuals.
And by the
different
way,
issues there,
guys,
actually.
thank you for all your hard work over the years too. I'm not, and same with Dave Herrick, I'm not excluding you on that, because I appreciate it.
That's okay, I didn't feel left out.
And you want a moment? I'll turn off the machine.
I'll recover.
Okay, so there's a motion on the table. Is there a second?
Made by Ed
Yes.
to go
Second
to
it.
executive session for, you're referencing the green sheet, number
Yes.
2 and number
Yeah, for one
3.
time, I'm flying without it. Thank you.
Joe's the second. Is that why you're raising your hand?
Yes.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Turn this off.
You want Mike to stay for the one?
I think